All right. Hello, hello. August the 2nd on Friday. Perfect.
I
Perfect
didn't
time.
even know it was August until somebody told me. And I was like, oh, all
Yeah.
right then.
It's August. I was reminded this morning because my younger daughter's birthday. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect
Oh,
day.
it's your younger daughter's birthday today?
It is. Yeah. It's her
Oh, that's
ninth birthday.
fun.
Beautiful. Beautiful age. She still loves me.
Single
We'll see how long
digits.
that stays. Single digits. Yeah. The
But
last
once
one.
it gets into double digits, that's when the issues start.
Yeah. Right now, she's still like, can you sleep with me? There's going to like, go out of my bed. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It'll happen sooner than you think, around that 11, 12 age. So you're going on a journey, a
Yeah.
significant journey. Isn't that 2 days from now, 3 days from now?
I'm leaving on Sunday, so yeah, 2 days. I haven't
Oh,
even.
my
I was
goodness.
telling you, I haven't really even started thinking about it. I was hoping that my last 2 weeks before my trip were going to be much easier. I had planned it that way, and a beautiful deal came to our desk, and we started working on it. And that deal has just consumed me completely. This is the first time we have what over $1.2 million in soft commits in 24 to 48 hours, and we're just tracking them. We're trying to close everyone down before I leave. I mean, there'll probably be still a little bit of work left, and I was hoping that I wouldn't have to work. That's why I was planning it that way. But life never happens the way you want it to happen, right?
It never happens like you planned it, and the most perfect thing can pop up. So, congrats on the deal.
Well, thank you. It's actually a beautiful deal. I know we were talking about it a little bit before that.
Yeah.
We figured out a tax incentive that was put probably decades ago now, where some of the corporations have the ability to wipe out the capital gains completely. Now it's much more complex than what I'm just making it sound.
But as a general
Uh,
note, that's
as a
essentially
general
what it
note, and
is.
this deal it took us about 2 weeks to validate. This deal, as of now, qualifies to do that. So of course now I sent that email yesterday, and we have like 10 more commits.
Yeah.
Like, how can I get in? How can I get in? So
So, what's the hold commitment on a deal like this? Out of curiosity.
or something like this, we believe these deals inherently have a higher risk than real estate, for example, because real estate is an underlying asset, right? So what we want to always say is that we want to make sure that we get people into a point where they're comfortable, but they're not going to be on the street if they lose something, right? So they have to balance it out. So it's a 25K commitment, and the deal. I mean, any venture capital deal is risky. Period. Just the
Absolutely.
level of the way that we do it is we are in the orthopedic implants, medical implants business. That business usually has an exit within 3 to 5 years, and most of the operational risk, a lot of the big players are taking, like the Stryker, the Zimmer, and Smith and Nephew, those kinds of people. They're taking on that operational risk. So we have to prove to a point. So we believe that this could exit in 3 to 5 years for 5 to 10x. Now we could be completely off, but we
Life
believe we're
is full
not
of
off.
risks.
What was that?
Life is full of risks. Sometimes we do have to
Life is
take
full
it.
of risk, right? Because if you drive in car, you may die. That doesn't mean you don't drive. You just drive in an awareness. But what I was gonna say was we just had an exit
Mhm.
where we 3.5x the funds money. So we put in X, we got 3.5x back within 12 months. So that how fast the M&A space in the medical industry is moving, and not the entire medical space, in the musculoskeletal space specifically, right? So
Mhm.
that's been a very, very, very hardcore niche, and I can't spell musculoskeleton if there was no Google. So it's my partner, Dr. Seelan Parekh, who is my wife's second cousin. So he
Oh,
and I are working on it together. So I'm like, you do that, I do me, you do you.
what an asset
So
to have an MD who speaks
correct.
that language.
It helps. It definitely helps. Definitely helps.
Yeah,
So,
what
so anyways, that's what we're
about it.
working on. We're hoping that we'll get all the money in by next week or so. So there may be a little bit of overlap of me working in India, but it's fine.
And it'll always work out. What I find interesting about what you just said, right, is that you have different deals at different commitment levels based on where people are financially. And that's one thing I
Yep.
really like about your business structure is you leave the door open for where people can go, right? Because not everybody has the funds to commit 100K or 50K,
No,
but somebody might have the funds to commit 10K, and you have so many
correct.
diverse opportunities.
Correct. Definitely. 100%. And I think we're always, and just because you have $25,000 doesn't mean venture capital is right for you. Because you may
Hmm.
have only 100,000 on in your bank account. That $25,000, if you lose, is going to hurt a lot, right? So we
Right.
don't even I don't even take people's money if that's the last dollar they have. It's like we're
No.
not going to allow you to invest because I can't sleep in good conscience that I took somebody's money knowing that there was inherent risk in the deal, that I'm exposing somebody to that point, right? Or somebody's college funds for their kids are they're depending on that. But don't invest that money because that's a different that cost, that's expense is not going away and you cannot push it down. It's going
Yeah.
to happen when it's going to happen. So you have to make sure that you account for it. Now, of course, when they have an exit of 3.5x, of course, the question is, I wish I put $1 million. Yes, you wish, like everyone else. But when you lose, do you still wish you put $1 million? Because some we're going to win, some we're going to lose some. Overall, we're going to be net positive. I mean, I think right, our fund is about a year ago, and we're now running at an IRR of over 200%.
Mhm.
Right, so not bad for a first fund,
Not at
not
all.
bad for a first thesis.
Mhm.
We believe we have something in there. Now, of course, that's me as a founder of the company speaking, so take it with a grain of salt. You have to do
Yeah.
your own due diligence, but we believe that we've found a sector where we can combine the benefits of venture capital without taking too much risk.
Right. Right. And risk is such, it's an interesting topic, right? Because we take risks financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually.
Yeah,
Even you leaving your business for a month, right, to pick up and go to India, it's not necessarily a risk, but it is something that can be a little uncomfortable.
it is. I think most of us are. Look, I think most of us are control freaks by birth.
Oh, yeah.
We may not realize it, but I think most of us like to have our Tony Robbins talks about a six human needs, right? So the first two needs are certainty and uncertainty. So some people thrive in uncertainty, some people thrive in certainty. Most
Yeah.
of us by default, I believe we thrive in certainty. We need to know where our next meal is going to come from. We need to know what movie we're going to watch. We know exactly what we're going to do. All of that is planned to a great extent, and then
Yeah.
life comes in and the uncertain moment comes in, right? So I think that the problem that happens is, so for me, I don't have the need for certainty. I
Hmm.
have the need for uncertainty. If my life becomes too certain, I have a problem.
Hmm.
So for that reason, I look forward to these changes. But that does, I think, as I'm also realizing, is I have structured my life. There are too many things uncertain. Everything is uncertain. My
That's
deal,
interesting.
like my deal's uncertain. My finances are uncertain. My health is uncertain. What's going to happen? Not doesn't mean it's in shambles. It's just uncertainty around it, right?
You just can't predict what it's going to look like in 6 months.
We can't predict when our
Mhm.
when one month we make $300,000, the other month we make zero, right? So
Mhm.
how do you? So it's unpredictability, which excites me, but also that's something that you have to account for when you're running a business. You can't have unpredictable cash flows. You have to bring in certain degree of predictability because you're not the only one. It's an amalgamation of a team. It was an amalgamation of different personalities. Some people
Mhm.
need certainty. Even though
Yeah.
I'm okay with uncertainty, some people may not be. They need their paycheck. They need their money to be paid at a certain amount of time because their
Mhm.
rent is due a certain point. They may not have that many savings. Who knows, right? So
Yeah.
that's what is bothering me right now, to make sure that I have structured everything so that while I'm away, people's lives are not getting impacted because of the decisions I'm making,
Right.
especially
Right.
if people are depending on me.
Well, and I think it's uncertain too as to what you're going to find about yourself and what's going to be revealed. And I think it's
I
always
know what
a
I'm going to
little
find
nerve-wracking.
myself. I know what I'm going to find myself. I'm going to hate it the first week, because it's not the first time I'm doing something this crazy. Because I'm addicted
Right.
to caffeine, and there's no caffeine. I'm
Mm.
addicted to technology. There's going to be limited technology, and I
Oh,
love
no.
reading books, and there's no books. So all of my three vices
Mhm.
that keeps me intellectually stimulated, that's going to be gone.
Right. And
So
that's going to be
I know
tough.
I'm going to hate it. I'm going to tell my wife, "Where the hell did I come?" and all that stuff, and then after that, it's going to be a breeze, and I would not want to come back.
And I think it's a testament too when we put ourselves in situations where we are a little uncomfortable, a little uncertain. How does that reveal different, attributes and personality characteristics about ourselves? Because uncertainty will reveal a lot about yourself, as will certainty.
I think it's an interesting thing, right? So I think it's a very
Yeah.
very interesting comment. There's so many examples in my head that I've been talking to people over the last several
Mhm.
months, several years, as in when everything is going fine, security and certainty is fine, right?
Absolutely.
But chances are life's going to kick you at some point. If not in 20 years, maybe 25 years. If not in 25 years, maybe 40 years. At some point, something is going to happen in your life that you'll be shaken to the core, to your core. We'll take an example of a friend of mine who just got laid off, or was
Mhm.
who architected his layoff. For as weird it may sound, but now he's basically thinking, I've worked at this job for 2 or 3 decades. I don't have the muscle to deal with uncertainty, right? I don't know what to do next. I don't have the tools. I don't have the formats. I don't have the frameworks to start thinking, how do I construct a new life, because the life that I had for 30 years was so comfortable that I was okay with it. Now I have to deal with a drastic change, right?
Mhm.
That's why I tell people is that take certain risks in your life controlled, but at a higher frequency than 30 years, right?
Mhm.
That doesn't mean you sell everything and move to a monastery like Saket. Don't do that if you don't. If that's not your lifestyle, if that's not what you want to do. But it could be you're going to live in a different city for a month, right?
Mhm.
It could be I'm going to go to networking events that I don't feel I belong. It
Yeah.
could be, well, I'm going to take a different role within a company, well, if you're working somewhere or whatever, or I'm going to start a part-time business or whatever that
Mhm.
means, or I'm going to
Start
start.
a journey, whatever it is.
Correct. And it doesn't have to be money. It could be
Mhm.
relationships, right? It could be with your spouse, it could be a dad, it could be whatever, a mom. Doesn't matter what you have, but put yourself constantly in an uncomfortable situation where you are not sure how will you react. And the
Yeah.
reason for that is not because I'm a is it called masochist or sadist? I can't remember those two. I'm
Explain a
not
little
drawing
bit.
pleasure. I'm not drawing pleasure out of your sadness. Whatever that word is called, I
Oh,
can't
yeah, yeah,
remember.
yeah. I think that's the correct word.
Perfect. So I don't want to do that. But what happens is when you're taking these small, controlled, creating these controlled uncertainties in your life, you're
Mhm.
developing that muscle.
Yes, you
That
are.
if and when something major happens in your life, you at least have some tools to depend on. And the tools that
Mhm.
Saket uses, or I use, or my wife uses, or anybody else uses,
Yeah.
they're going to be different. Those tools work for me. That may not necessarily work for you. So you have to
Mhm.
go find the tools that work for you, right? And
Absolutely.
you can't just show up 30 years, 40 years down the road in your life saying, I'll deal with it at that point. I can promise you, I'm seeing a lot of people I'm in that age group right now where people's lives are changing, either because of their own doing or because of external factors that are not in their control. It is changing. A lot of that is to be
Mhm.
taken because of the health. Some of it is because of they're too old to work, right?
Right.
And if they get laid off, they can't find a job because they're making 5, 6, 700K. Finding that job is hard now, right? So that's really what I would say. That to your point about uncertainty and the risk and everything, I think I've put myself in so many uncomfortable situations before. I know that at the end of it, I'm going to come out fine. That
Mhm.
nothing's going to break me. I know that. So that confidence I have, which is very important because I remember somebody going to the monastery that I went to for a week. They were frazzled. They're like, what is the day going to look like? What's going to happen? What am I going to eat? What am I going to dress? What's going to happen? What if I don't come back? All these questions that were coming up,
Yeah.
which I can understand why they were coming up because they didn't have any control, right? So at least I'm over that part. That 4 weeks out, I'll be fine. I'll be a much better person than I'm
Right.
going in. I know that for sure.
Mhm.
The challenge that happens is, to your point, is every time you're putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, you have that butterfly feeling in your stomach, right? Because you're excited, but you're nervous, and that excitement
Absolutely.
will carry you through, but that nervousness is going to hold you a little bit of you back. So you have to figure out how to get over that nervousness, and the more you get used to that feeling, the more it will be good. Like I was telling my wife last night, I'm never going to do capital raise again. I'm done because she's like, yeah, talk to me in 2 weeks. And you're going to find another deal and you're going to do the exact same thing again. I'm like, you're probably right. But right
Yeah,
now,
I
this
think
is a
he's probably
lot
right.
of work. This is a lot of work.
I
I didn't
know.
sign up for it. I didn't sign up for it. I don't want to do it. But she's like, this is who you are, right? You like to put yourself in these situations. It's fine. You're complaining today, and I understand that. I appreciate what she was saying. That I think I like putting myself in positions where I am stretched beyond my own capability that I'm aware of,
Mhm,
and then I
mhm.
complain about it. And I
Oh,
don't know
yeah,
why I
well, most
complain.
people
I
do
do
that.
complain. So then she reminds me, so you're being victim. I'm like, yeah, I'm being a victim mindset. You're right. I'm looking for recognition and comfort. So tell me I'm doing a good job. She's like, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm like, I know that. You won't.
Oh my. And that's an example of how your spouse is your mirror. This is a really timely, interesting conversation. So to preface, I'm super spoiled, but my hairstylist, hairdresser has always come to my home, always, as long as I
Oh,
can
I
remember.
love that.
Oh, well, she said to me yesterday, she's like, I've waited like 20 some years, I think it was 30 some years actually. And she was like, I'm moving to Florida because I hate Ohio. And I was like,
Oh,
I get
wow.
that. And so we had a conversation about it. And she said, you know, I regret not doing it 15 years ago because
Yeah,
that's all she's wanted her whole life, right? Is to move out of
definitely.
this place. And I think about that and I think about how much people hold themselves back, right, from what they really want. And she
Yeah.
said, well, my brother's kept me here and my this person's kept me here and that person. And that's part of what holds us back in life, right? Is not choosing ourselves over others.
100%. It's such a beautiful topic. I can't remember which one was that. There was a podcast that I did early enough
Yeah.
in my podcast journey. I think it was like podcast number 10 or 15, somewhere around that. I spoke to a 18-year-old podcaster
Mhm.
who got me on his podcast as a guest. And the whole conversation was around that. He's like, I really want to move out of wherever he was. I can't remember where he was now, but I
Whatever
can't
place.
because my grandma is here, right? Or my life is here, or my family is here, or this or that. And the conversation we really had was around the same topic, as in, if they were not around, what would you do? If they were
Mhm.
not in your life, what would you do? They're like, she's like, I don't know. I'm like, then don't use them as a crutch, right? You're using them as a crutch so that you can delay your decision and you can blame them. That and I'm not saying blame is a very strong word, but you are finding an excuse
Right.
because you're not decisive to move, right? So in his case was, well, I'm not so sure. The risk is too high. It's uncertain. This is all I know. I'm like, then tell your mind, tell your brain, that's the reason you're not moving.
Yeah.
But if you tell your brain that I'm not moving because of my grandma, you're never going to overcome that fear of unknown, that I'm not ready to make a decision, right? But if you
Mhm.
be honest with yourself and tell yourself, well, I'm going to move because I'm unhappy, or whatever reason it could be, right? And but I'm afraid of these four things. What if I fail? Or usually you're afraid of negative things. You're never afraid of positive
Right,
things,
right.
right?
Or letting someone down, something like that.
Like someone
Being
down, that my
unloved, things
grandma is
like
old. What if she passes away? Whatever your reasons are,
my
I'm not
family won't love
discounting
me.
them. Yeah, correct. So I'm not discounting any of those as real reasons, or your reality at least. But if you watch the movie Inside Out, I don't know if you guys are into the Inside Out 2 movie. I don't like that movie at all, but my younger one wanted to go, so we went. And there's actually a beautiful message in that movie. And there was, I can't remember which part was in, but I vividly remember where she's saying, "Oh, I may fail." The happy emotions, but what if we succeed?
Mhm.
Right? So you can be paralyzed with what if I fail, or
Yeah.
you can focus on what if I succeed. You may still fail. There's no guarantee, right?
Mhm.
There's no guarantee that your next step is going to push you in the direction that you want it to.
Right.
Uh, you thought it may take you 1 year, it may take you five. Who knows, right? Nobody knows.
Mhm.
But if you go with the opinion that what if I'm successful? What if I find
Mhm.
happiness in Florida,
Right.
in your hairstylist case, or what if I find the new man or the new woman or the new
What if I find
business,
better health,
better
stronger body,
health,
more
correct,
empowerment?
or I find a new family of friends, right? Whatever they are. If you focus on those, you'll find the motivation to make a decision, right?
Mhm.
But if you focus on what if I'm wrong, what if I fail, what will people say, how will I face my family during Thanksgiving because I let them down, whatever they are.
Right.
First of all, nobody cares. Nobody cares. They're going to talk for a day, a month, a week, a year. After that, they're going to get tired,
Mhm.
and they're gonna move on with next person who did something to them. So you're not that important to them. First of all, you may think you're important to them. You're not. They are the most important person in their mind, right? Because they're not looking. If you think about it, if they're complaining about your action, they are being selfish for themselves because they are feeling you let them down. Instead of saying, well, this hairstylist, I'm gonna give her a name, Lisa. Lisa really wants to move to Florida, so let us support that,
Right.
right?
Right.
So why would you stop your life for somebody who's being so selfish that they don't look for your happiness? Instead of saying, well, try this out. Look, if it doesn't work out, we're always here. Come
Right.
back, right?
That's
And
that's
if it
important.
works out, perfect. We're happy for you. Why can't they do that? So I think
Exactly.
most of us, and we're probably going to go off on a complete different tangent right now, but I think that's the problem when you keep thinking about, like this friend of mine, he was thinking, oh, what should I tell people? What am I doing right now? I'm like, why do you care? Why do you care about what you tell people? And you can come up with a different story for everyone. They're like, I'm trying to find myself. She's like, that's not good enough. Well, I'm like, yeah. What do you want? You want to say what that you're a CEO of a company? Is that what you want to say? He's like, yeah, that would be great. So I'm like, I don't think that's. I'm like, look at the variation. You're struggling because you're looking for people to accept you for something that they don't even know. You could start a company today and say, I'm a CEO. They
You
won't
could.
even know. They won't even know. It's
No.
as simple, right? But
Mhm.
he's struggling he's struggling internally. I know that because I've known this person for a long time, and he's not the only example.
Right.
If you're listening, I won't say a name, but you're not the only example. I'm using you as an example. You're not the only person. I have been there myself when I got laid off. So it's not like I'm saying I'm better than anyone else. It's a journey though. It's a journey to move beyond what people think about you. As long as you're certain in your conviction and you're okay failing. And
Mhm.
failing, what was that quote? Failure happens when you quit.
Right.
But if you keep trying, you've never failed, right?
No. And
So look
failure
at
is
that from that.
subjective. What does failure
Precisely.
even mean?
Exactly. It's kind of like everyone who has seen kids in their life, when they fall down, do we say you failed when they're trying to
No.
walk? No, we say, oh, good job. You tried. Keep trying, right? Well, what do we do to ourselves? We say, I failed because I couldn't get a job or I
Mhm.
was fired. And again, I've been through all those emotions myself. So I
Right.
know exactly, I know what you're feeling because I've felt similar emotions, if not exactly the same. So, but the problem with that is the word failure, and this is not a mind reframing or whatever. It's not. It's actually the truth if you think about it. You don't do to a kid. Why are you doing to yourself? What gives you the right to talk to you differently than the way you talk to your kids?
Right.
Right? You're killing your inner child by talking negative about I failed. Well, you didn't fail. You tried. The way you tried didn't work. So
Right.
that
And
means
you
you
have to
tried
try a new
differently.
way. And children will
Yeah.
play with toys or puzzles or different things until they get the right answer that works for them.
Yeah, completely. So I think that's what what I don't know how we got on that to get that path, but when you start thinking about it's a very that question is very important to me, right?
Mhm.
Like what are you doing things because you really want to do, or
Mhm.
you're doing things because you think the world wants you to do them?
Right. Or because it will make you a good husband, partner, person,
Right.
friend, daughter,
Right.
son. That's all stuff to think about.
That's really what I would leave you with, right? It's kind of like I'll try to record my journey as well. I don't know if I will. Uh,
We all have our
uh,
intentions, but like we said, life never goes as we think it's going to go.
it doesn't, and for those of you who have figured out, I have very hard time creating any content.
Yeah.
That's why I asked Brooke to ask me questions. When she's asking me questions, I can't stop talking. But if you just leave me on the camera, I can't talk.
Yeah.
That's a problem that I have that I'm working through, right? But what I'm going to leave you with is that figure out something that you can on a daily basis you're trying to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. It could
Mhm.
be a conversation you didn't want to have. It
Yeah.
could be a book that you wanted to read, but you couldn't read. It could be a walk that you wanted to take. It could
Yeah.
be a business whatever it is, doesn't
Going
matter.
deeper in a yoga pose. It can be as little or as big as you want it to be.
Doesn't
Being
matter at
accountable
all.
for your skincare. It can be anything at all.
Put yourself in a situation that you have never put yourself
Mhm.
in a safe area, right? So don't go out to if you're gonna if you've never if you're not if you believe you're not a good networker,
Right.
don't go out on a cocktail party in tuxedos tomorrow, right? You may not be there ready today, but if you think that, okay, you know what, let me go talk to my neighbor about stuff that matters to him or her. Let me go out to Rotary Club. Let me start small. Take these simple steps that you're comfortable and nobody knows you there, right? So the beauty of change. So I've moved 25 addresses in the last 23 years in the
Oh
U.S.
wow. Wow.
Um, it's not a moment of pride, but it's actually a reflection on who I am. I
Right.
have always tried to reinvent myself, and I have figured out for me, reinvention means going to a place where nobody knows me.
Mhm.
I have no inhibition. There's nobody who can judge me because they don't know my past. They don't know my present. I could be a freaking James Bond if I wanted to. I could be
Right. Right.
because nobody knows me, right? And if I don't succeed in that, well, you know what? There's always a different place. That's how
Mhm.
I'm convinced in my mind. Now I'm messed up. I know that, but that's really how I think that you know what? If you go to a place where failure has no judgment in your eyes, whatever the failure means to you, you will be fine. And you've probably all of us have felt it's easy to talk to strangers than to talk to people who know you.
There's
Right?
no loaded emotions.
There's no lot of emotions. There's no baggage you're carrying. They have never been hurt by you,
You can
right?
just be.
You could just be. You could say, I'm a CEO. They probably won't even meet you again. Anyways,
Mhm.
if that's what you want, you can do whatever you want, right? So put yourself in these situations. I have, I have learned from me that if I wouldn't be where I am today, financially or non-financially. It doesn't matter I'm not
Mhm.
saying I have been a success in my life, but whatever I've achieved, financially or non-financially, is happening because of this constant change that I'm putting myself through intentionally, right? And
Mhm.
but sadly, now my daughter is the same way. The older one, she's like, "We've been in this place for 2 years. When are we moving?"
Now your daughters are going to start picking out homes. It's going to get really scary really fast.
It is getting scary because they're like, "Oh, we need a bigger house." We're like, "This is a
When
big
they get
house."
Zillow, I'm not sure if they use Zillow. When they get Zillow, you're going to be horrified.
Not yet. They're not allowed to use computers yet. But I'm pretty sure they will. Or they probably are using it. I just don't know about it.
I'm a Zillow fanatic. The girls are going to be picking out who knows what sort of features in your homes.
Yeah, it's like I remember my younger one. She was funny. She's like, "So, I think I need a 15-bedroom house." Like, what?
You're like,
What are
oh
you gonna
no.
do? What are you gonna do with 15-bedroom house? She's like, "All the princesses have it." Like, you're right, they have it, but they also have kings at their dads. So maybe there's a difference.
There might be a
Uh,
correlation. She's like, well, you can go make the money, right? And that's that beautiful growth mindset that children have that we need to have a little more of.
we need to have more of that. So, like, you know what? Let's think about it. How do we get it? That's really the
Exactly.
conversation we had. And of course, now they have their own credit cards, controlled credit cards. So they're now like, you know what the funny thing was? It's sad, but it's true. They went
Yeah.
to grocery shopping. I'm like, you know what? You pay your stuff today.
Hmm.
They didn't buy any snack.
Oh.
I'm like, what happened there? I was asking them what happened there. It's like, you said we have to buy it. We don't need snacks. We need vegetables. They're cheaper. They're better. I'm like, that's actually very interesting. They're like, so if I buy it, you would want me to buy snacks. Like, yeah, because you're paying for it. Well, because we're paying for it, we don't need any snacks. I don't need any
I have
chips.
bad news. I still say that to my dad at my age.
It
You're like,
is.
"Dad, you want to buy it?"
Yeah, you want to buy it? I'm like, no, I don't want to buy it for you now. You're never getting a snack. Of course, the next morning we were packing lunch. It's like, where's your snack? Well, I didn't buy anything because you told me I have to pay.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you know, I mean, that's a learning lesson there, right? So you have to, if you think you need it, you have to figure out what fits. What else can you
That's
go?
that limitless nature that a child has.
The
And
pot
they're
is the pot is never empty. There's
And the
always
relationship with
money.
money is so healthy at that age. And if we can just get back even a little bit to that healthy relationship, that makes a
Definitely.
humongous difference.
Definitely. We were talking about how much money do you make and all that stuff. So we did something, and we're gonna get some $10,000, right? There was a service that I provided to somebody. Like, that's a lot of money. We're like, is it? What is it? What is big? What is small? Is 2,000 big? Why is 10,000 more? Why is 100,000 less? Right? We just had that beautiful conversation. They're like, so 10,000 is not a lot of money. I'm like, I'm not saying it's a lot or not. It's all relative.
Mhm,
If you ask me, it's a good amount of money.
mhm.
It's a lot more than a lot of people could make, right? But it's also a lot less than a lot of people make. So
Right.
is it good or is it bad? Is it too much or is it too less?
And
It's
some of that's
really
lifestyle, right? And all that is
all
a
lifestyle.
conversation you can continue to have.
Yeah, it's just a. I think these conversations are important. These are again one of those uncomfortable conversations
Mhm.
as a parent, right? Where
Yeah.
your kid is asking how much you make. You can
Mhm.
say none of your business. You can say that. I have friends who have said that. But what are you teaching kids that don't talk about money,
Yeah.
right?
Particularly female children.
Email children. Instead you're saying that, okay, how much do you make? Well, how much do you think we need to make?
Right.
Just flip the conversation, right? Let them do the math. Let them do the math on the expenses. Let them do the work thinking that, oh, I need $10,000. I'm only making $2,000. I need to cut some expenses.
Right.
Or where is the $8,000 coming from? Right?
Mhm.
It's just, I think, but again, most of these are, you are putting yourself in a position that you
Yeah.
never. So when I talk about uncertainty and uncomfortable positions, these mind bending things that you may have to do,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean go out and do a 5 mile run. I mean, it could
No,
be.
it doesn't mean to try surfing if you've never tried it. Nothing
It
crazy.
doesn't. It doesn't. I'm not talking about becoming an adrenaline junkie. That's not what I'm proposing. If you want to do that, perfectly fine. You should do that. But what I'm saying is do things that doesn't take much effort.
Mhm.
It's actually very hard to think. One of my managers always told me human beings are so lazy, they don't want to
Yeah,
think, Saket. I'm like, there's
that's
probably
true.
truth to that. There's truth to that, right? We would rather go surf because it's easier. But if you sit down to think for an hour, that's hard.
It is.
Very hard. So why just put yourself in that situation of thinking?
It's probably why I'm an exercise junkie. So
That's probably why I'm not.
I'm like, yeah, I get to go down and think for a while.
Awesome, awesome. I know. Look, Brooke, I know you have to head out. You have a hard stop, but I appreciate the time.
Mhm.
For whoever is listening till now, if I haven't tuned you off, you haven't tuned me off so far. Look, I'm on a health journey, so I'm really looking forward to it. I have a lot of. I'm realizing who I am because I'm eating everything and anything I can because I'm like, this program is going to change me. Who knows? I have no idea. Uh, but it's going to put me in a position where I'm going to be a conscious eater, at least for those 4 weeks,
Mhm.
right? So I'm drinking as much tea as I can, as much fried food as I can. I'm like, it's like I remember, it's like when I was quitting smoking,
Yeah.
right? Every time I would quit cigarettes, I would say, let me smoke up a whole pack because tomorrow morning I'm not going to smoke.
Yeah, let me binge.
Let me binge now. And then, of course, the morning was perfect. By the time my evening hit, I was back on cigarettes, right?
Mhm.
I was telling my wife the other day, I have a very, at least for me, I have an epiphany. Food is the new cigarette.
It is.
It is the new cigarette because people are not smoking, great, but they're now eating crappy food, eating more than they need, right? So my
Or
my
just
whole
things that don't make sense for their bodies is a big
it doesn't.
conversation as well.
And I'm equally to be blamed. I'm an addict for cigarettes, for YouTube show. I'm not saying I'm perfect, so don't think I'm preaching. I am looking forward to this journey to get that food addiction out of me, right? For
Mhm.
this next 4 weeks, if I can just draw that benefit from this next 4 weeks, I think this would be a success. I'm pretty sure it's going to be way more than that, but only that can happen to me, where that addiction is removed, so I
Yeah.
can see the other side, how it is outside of addiction. I think it'd be a beautiful trip.
I'm excited for you. Well, my sister treats those that have food addictions, so I hear
Oh,
about
there
this
you
all the time. Yeah,
go.
it's a real one. It's a real thing.
It is. It is a real thing. All right,
Yeah.
guys. Well, thank you again for the conversation. I'm not going to put any link or say anything today. It was really a free flow conversation. I told Brooke I'm completely mindless, thoughtless today. I have no idea what we're going to talk about.
But I think it went really well given that. My little
It's a
girl,
beautiful
my
term.
little doggy keeps scooting my ring light. She's keeps
Ah.
looking on it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, everybody. Have a beautiful next 4 weeks. If I don't see you, if I don't talk to you, but if you again have questions or concerns about your own life, feel free to continue dropping things in the LinkedIn or in Facebook or my personal email or whatever. I
Absolutely.
will be checking it when I come back for sure.
Yes, and he would love to hear from you guys.
Definitely. Awesome. Take care. Cheers.
Bye, guys.